nobody can walk your path. Nobody can do it for you. We are many sort of energy workers, light workers, whatever, people want to call us. We can hold your hand, we can give you the tools, but at the end of the day, it takes a radical responsibility to walk your own path. And it also takes courage. And the word courage comes from the French word la coeur, which means the heart. So it takes a lot of courage to live a path led by the heart.
You are now listening to the highlight reel builder for authors, the Going North podcast. I'm your host, best-selling author, and Maxwell Leadership Certified Trainer, DomBrightmon. And you're going to be getting some tips and techniques to advance yourself coming up next. Another episode, another review highlight to drop before the episode officially begins. And this one is from Jonathan N829. And they left a 5-star review titled, "Should be renamed." This should be called Incredible Central. This dude has the voice. Thanks a bunch, Jonathan N29, for that great compliment, my man. And if you, too, would like to leave a review about the show, about the podcast, do so on goingnorthpodcast.com or your favorite podcast player. Now let's get on with today's episode. And today on the Highlight Reel Builder for Authors, known as GMP, the Great, Glorious, and Glamorous, is the Going North podcast. We got another super special, awesome human for you today, courtesy of podmatch.com, where podcast guests get to connect with podcast hosts. And if they're cool, they're freaking in. And today's guest is cooler than two cucumbers, y'all, because let me tell you a bit about her. She is a wonderful award-winning author, y'all. That's right, indeed, as well as a spiritual teacher, international yogini, y'all, as well as a feminine leadership coach, soul realignment practitioner, and a mom of two. So let's give it up for Miss UK herself, the one and only Ulrika Karlsson. How you doing today, Ulrika?
Oh, wow. That was a great introduction. Thank you. I'm fine. How are you doing, Dom?
Oh, someone's fine indeed. Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. That's right,
Brilliant.
indeed. Good. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, my goodness, since it's your first time on the show and folks haven't heard about you yet, or at least some of the folks probably haven't heard about you yet, mind filling us a bit on your backstory of how you got to where you are today?
So I guess what most people are interested in is like how do you become like a spiritual teacher? It all started when I was depressed and burnout and suicidal. So my journey is actually from being suicidal to becoming a spiritual teacher. So I was really, really depressed and burnout and suicidal for many, many years. I had eating disorders, I had panic attacks, sleeping disorders. And so my journey started to sort of, reclaim and recover myself, my fragmented pieces that I was, and to bring myself back from this state of complete depletion and burnout to where I am now. And yeah, it's been quite a journey.
Definitely glad you're still here too, because suicide definitely is high at the moment, and folks usually see that as a way out if they don't think about anything else. And so glad you're able to really still be here and actually transmute that pain into power.
Yeah, thank you. So am I. And it's been, I always say, like, if you find yourself in a dark place, like being depressed or sick or in some kind of pain, you can also see of the depression, the word depressed, as a deep rest for the body, mind, and soul. And that's like one way, like you can also see it like you are a little seed that has been planted in a dark place. Then you are about to thrive and to blossom into becoming something better, a better version of yourself. So that's the good thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Indeed, a good thing indeed. Heck, never even thought about it that way. Depression, deep rest. It's like, oh shoot. Yes, in a way.
I know you can play with words. because words are spellings, and they can cast a spell. So that's why we have to raise our consciousness in how we use the words. So depressed can be a depressed, which can be the necessary transition for you to become a better version of yourself. And from my own journey, I've learned that the more access you have to your inner, like darkness, some people call it shadow or wounds or traumas, whatever you like to call it. And the more you have witnessed it, felt it, dealt with it, this saying, face your fears, but actually faced your fears so much. So the dense energy is then transformed into higher level of consciousness, into higher energy, higher vibration. So that's actually a huge opportunity for like spiritual growth. And so my books are all about, raising our vibration. And you can see on the global scale today that our vibration, our energetic, our consciousness is very, very low. We are, many people are in the dense 3D dimension, like matrix. And to plug it out, so to speak, plug it out from the matrix and to become more of you, who you truly are on a solar level. So I guess my point here is that we all, like individually, we all have our individual paths and our individual journeys to transcend into higher consciousness. And then we also bring this individual consciousness into the collective consciousness. So each and one of us that are in pain or are depressed or, something else, are stressed out, it's an opportunity for growth. It's as simple as that.
That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. It's kind of funny how you mentioned low vibration, because it's so true with a lot of folks these days. And I guess at the time of this recording, we're a couple of weeks away from a U.S. holiday known as Thanksgiving, and a lot of folks have been calling it low vibrational plate day. So it's like, you know what? That makes so much sense, because it's like, oh, instead of like focusing on things to raise it, a lot of folks are really just trying to do enough to get by and survive, because we're still reeling in, trying to really collect ourselves from the year that shall not be named, 2020, even though I just named it.
Yeah, and like that, what has happened is also in a very low vibrational field, in very low vibration. And I would go as far as say that what has happened is an excellent way to transform our consciousness into something higher. This is the universe way to show us that we are living lifestyles that are not sustainable, not for ourselves as individual or for the collective society or for the planet. So we have been throwing, as a yogi, I'm a yogi also, I've known that these days would come when everything that we know would crumble and fall, and everything that is familiar would also, old, outdated systems would fall. And this is what is going on. And then you can blame it on like whatever you like to call it, whether it's the pandemic or scandemic or whether it's the war going on. But it's just a massive opportunity for growth if you are willing to move your focus inwards. Because also we have the opportunity to see, if I'm only looking in one angle, 1 degree, one perspective, then I'm missing out. Like the circle have 360 degrees, right? So if I'm only paying my attention into one direction, then I'm missing out the other opportunities, the other 359 degrees. So this is the times, the collective times that the universe has given us for us to rise back into our original sort of divine state of being, which is higher vibrational field. It's from the 5th dimensional field and above, which is the soul's dimension, which is all about love, compassion, and empathy. And it all starts with me, right? Because I cannot be of service. I cannot raise the collective consciousness if I'm stuck in my own depressed state, or if I'm stuck in a dark place, or if I'm stuck in my thoughts, my limited beliefs. So this journey all starts with ourselves. And this is why, like, I had my awakening 2008, my first book, 2:47 a.m., The Journey Home to My Heart, where I share about my condition when I was depressed and when I was being suicidal. And the intention with this book is to inspire people to use this book as a trampoline to dive into their own inner darknesses, wounds, or traumas. And they can use my sharings about my traumas and my experience to explore their own. So this book is here also to raise the consciousness. So everything that I'm doing, I'm like now nowadays moving from survival into thriving state, or from being suicidal into being more spiritual. So everything that I do is literally to guide you back to yourself, so that you can be aligned and centered and be the best version of yourself every day. And most of us, when we are living our stressful lives and when we are busy, I know you also are from a country where people are busy and glorifying, the concept of being busy, working a lot, being workaholics. But that's basically a deep imbalance in the so-called root chakra. That is a deep imbalance. And our whole society is based on these deep imbalances, that we need to perform or to be effective or productive, or, have a high level of education, whatever. You can even hear it in the language. Like, we are talking about higher educations, we're talking about higher salaries, working the career ladder. And the energy is then moving upwards away from the heart. What we need to do is to reclaim the energy, from our headspace, from our mental space, down into our bodies and into our hearts. And this is what it's all about. Growing into our original divine state of being, where we are divine love and compassion.
Ah, that's right, Dave. That divine love and compassion, Dave. And I love that wonderful word picture of a trampoline. First time I ever heard somebody actually say that. It's like, oh, shoot. That's right. This author's got trampolines, y'all. That's right, indeed. You to jump in that darkness and come out the other side. That's right, indeed. With all the radiance. That's right. All the brilliant radiance. Indeed. Indeed. So, my goodness. So, putting that book together, and I know you got a few more, too, if I'm not mistaken, about to get two more. Like, what was probably the most difficult part about putting that book together, having to relive all that you had to go through?
Exactly. So when I was writing it, my husband, he came home and he found me crying every time that I wrote this book. It was very, very hard to write it. And at first I wrote it in Swedish, my native language. But then I had a friend of mine, a book coach, because this book was so hard to write, since I share very raw material, and I write very authentically about my inner darkness, my traumas and my wounds, and my journey to face it all and to transform it. So she said, Ulrika, you really need to do this book in English, because this book is so important for all those that are depressed or are in pain or are in a, some kind of dark space. Because this book is going to be, the energy of this book is going to be there forever and ever. And then it can be like a beacon of light for other people. So I started to write it in English, and then it was sort of easier, because just by changing the language from my native language to English was like a bit of like distancing myself from, from what I had experienced. And then on top of that, like writing it in English, also English has more variety, are more rich in the words that I can use. But it was a challenge to write the book, and so it's dedicated to my children, that actually, literally and unknowingly saved my life on many occasions, when I, was standing in front of the mirror in my bathroom and just looking at myself in the mirror with eyes. I was so hollow. There was like nobody there, no spark. I was completely disconnected from my soul. And all that there was in my eyes were a lot of self-hatred, a lot of disdain and contempt for myself. So my children saved my life unknowingly. And so it's dedicated to my children. And yeah, its aim is here to be the beacon of light for other that are in this dark space in a deep rest position.
That's right indeed. That's right indeed. So it's a beautiful story. Every now and then you hear when kids get to save their mom's life. I think funny enough, episode 300, Ariel Patricia, her daughter actually talked some sense into her because she herself too was suicidal. And she's like, "Hey Bob, what are you talking about? Like you're doing great. Like you were a freaking Marine in the US in Marines. Like you were a captain. Like, what's wrong with you? Like you have a lot to live for." And just had to snap her out of it. And it sounds really good that something happened to you too, where it's like, oh, the kids, they're the best life coaches ever because they're so
Yeah,
blessed.
exactly. And my kids were so young at the time, but my oldest son, he was like 2 years at the time, so he came to me in the bathroom, just wanted my attention, and he could just look at me with his like beautiful blue eyes and just say, "Mom, I love you," and sort of tug me with his little chubby arms. So I actually have a chapter in the book that is called chubby small arms or something like that. So yeah, he didn't talk to me so much. He just, when I was standing there with all the pills for depression, pills for sleeping disorders, pills for panic attacks, pills for this and that, I had them in my hands, looking in the mirror and like, is this the day that I'm gonna end it all? And then he just came and hugged me. So, and 2:47 is where I woke up every day, every night, 2:47 a.m. every night for decades after only 15 minutes of sleep. And every night when I woke up, I was being murdered, tortured, and slaughtered in my dreams. So there was like blood splattering, and I silently woke up with a scream, being very disoriented. My heart was pounding. I had a stale taste of iron and blood in my mouth. I was all sweaty. I didn't know where I was. And then I sort of started to focus, and my eyes fell on the digital alarm clock, and it was 2:47 a.m. And then I knew that I had only slept like 15 minutes that night too. So that was, 15 minutes of sleep per night for decades.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that was really painful too. Like every night, that crazy dream, 2:47 a.m. every freaking night. Like, dude, like I'm pretty sure it was hard to sustain any type of living then.
Yeah, it was very hard. I was like a junkie. My cognitive abilities were gone. I was all jerky and nervous and like a wreck. I was like a human wreck. And every night I got murdered, and my husband at the time, he never knew because I never told him. He was just sleeping away all night, and I was up. And so yeah, the journey back, it's also called 2:47 a.m. The journey home to my heart. Yeah, that was a lot of challenges on the way, but it was also like my wake up call. And in the yogic perspective, the numbers are really interesting because 2 is like the heart, and 2:47, 7 is spiritual, and 4 is about balance. And this is also the time for the liver, and the liver is the organ that contains a lot of anger. So I had a lot of suppressed anger and a lot of suppressed anger over the traumas that I've been through in this lifetime and also previous lifetimes. Because as a yogi, we also believe that energy never dies. Energy just take different shapes and forms. So, like, I know now that I am a soul that has a body, but before I was depressed and suicidal, I never thought about being a soul, or I never knew about spirituality. So then I was just this machine, pushing and pressing myself into being perfect, into, you know, being effective and productive and always to be on the move. Like, you know, I had my own business. I was a mom. I was a personal trainer. You know, I was so fit in my body after, you know, giving birth to two children. Like after three, when my youngest daughter was 3 months old, I was so ripped. But yet, you know, inside of me, it was like chaotic. So I used all these things, these doings, to keep me busy and distracted and numbing myself because I was terrified inside. So the journey back home to my heart has been a lot to first to dare to see, you know, the shadow or the darkness, the trauma, and then to feel it. Because when I feel it and I witness it, and I allow it to just pass through me, then I transform it. And the more of the darkness that I've transformed, the more access I have to my inner light and my inner divinity. So yeah, it was a journey. And I'm also glad that I'm here these times.
Heck yeah. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. Get to help folks stretch in more ways than one, not just a body, but the mind and the spirit. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. Having everybody turn into a pretzel. That's right, if they have to.
Exactly, exactly. And the more you want to expand, the more you want to expand out there in the outer realms, you also have to expand into your inner realms. Like you really, like moving through a timeline. You know, there are also therapies called timeline therapies where you can change. It's like, I think it's Wayne Dyer who says it's never too late to have a happy childhood. So the things that I never got, I can give myself. So I can invest a lot of time, effort, money, love, and compassion, pouring it into myself and to give myself the things that I never received. So, and I think if we also are looking the way that the world are today with a low vibrational frequency and the low energy, you know, and for the last 2.5 years, we can see that, you know, either you took the jab or you didn't. But regardless, there was this separation between us, like, you know, a lot of separation, and the separation was all the way into family lines. And if you uphold the separation, if you got agitated or frustrated, you know, regardless of what you choose for others who chose something differently, then you are upholding the low frequency of lack, scarcity, and fear, etc. So, and that's, you know, what's globally, you know, how people acted and reacted upon each other. So it has been a very low vibrational field, and it's like a shackle, and the time is now, you know, to release that shackle and to start to think for yourself and to move the energy from the head space and down into the heart space. And that's why my next book was Holy Fuck and Sacred Water, the secret connections to everything. That we know that we consist of more than 75% of water, right? Each and one of us. We have water in our cells, we have water in our DNA. The blood is, in the yogic perspective, also from the water elements, like it's fluid. And so we are so polluted in ourselves by our mindsets, by our limiting beliefs, by the programs, and that we have been programmed for thousands of years. So many people believe their thoughts, you know, believe that they are their thoughts, believe that they are their emotions, that many people believe that they are their body. So we are trying to beautify the body, to enhance it. You know, girls take silicone in the boobs, Botox in their lips. You know, we're always trying to improve, but we are looking for the wrong things in the wrong places. What we need to do is to clear out our inner shit, our wounds, our darkness, our traumas, our unconsciousness from our on the cellular level. So this book is here to reactivate your path and to reignite you with a higher state of consciousness.
Oh, good times indeed. But hey, you're so right about that, especially the fact like, hey, the blood definitely is under the water, it's liquid. And they just getting more focused on the inner stuff because hey, and I guess that's even more important why we need spiritual teachers because hey, a lot of folks need to focus on the internal struggles that we all have to deal with, sometimes emotional baggage, even the ones that have emotional baggage printed on a cloth bag.
Exactly. And we are upholding these low vibrational frequency in our inner waters. I call it that we have frozen emotions because in the Western societies, we are not taught, we are not experienced to allow our emotions, right? So we suppress them like I did, suppress a lot of emotions because I am an intuitive empath. And that is also that I, not only that I have empathy for you, I feel you, I feel your energy, I feel everything that you are going through. So I can feel your wound, I can feel your traumas, and I can feel, everything that is going on individually and collectively, and all the things that we are suppressing due to our cultures, like here in Sweden, we're not supposed to be too much, not to express ourselves too much, not to be too happy, too sad, too horny, too angry, too anything. So we are suppressing and suppressing and we are holding back, and then these suppressed emotions becomes frozen emotions, again, the water element. And the frozen emotions become stagnations and blockages. And then these blockages hinders you from the connection to divine source. And the blockages become symptoms or diseases when you are not being at ease, right? So frozen emotions are the main cause to our Western diseases. So we need to transform all these blockages and to turn the water into the liquid emotion, which means energy in motion. Basically means that emotions and feelings, they're just energy in motion and they need to be in motion. They need to just pass through you. Instead, we are holding on to them. Like we are holding on to our limiting beliefs. We are holding on to illusions. We're holding on to the ideal weight. We're holding on to our money, like my precious. So all these things that we are holding on to are causing blockages in the energy to flow freely. And it's also causing like a split, a disconnection from source, and from our spirit and from our souls. And in Sweden, the word breath is literally andetag, and that means to connect with spirit. And again, most of us, when we are stressed, when we are in pain, when we are depressed, when we are working a lot in front of on the computer, it restricts and limits our breaths. It restricts our breathing. And then the consequence is that we are being limited and restricted from spirit and from soul.
Ah, definitely indeed. Definitely indeed. Don't want to restrict your breath like that. Like take it off the handcuffs, yo. That's right
Yes.
indeed. That's right indeed. Get your body moving. That's right indeed. So it can feel even better. That's right indeed. Spirit can even feel better too. So my goodness, so since you've been on a few of these podcasts, promoting your books and the good work that you're doing to help out your fellow humans on the planet, is there a question that you wish folks would ask you more often when you're on these podcasts?
Good question, Dom. Just like, how do you begin to the transformation into becoming more whole and more connected with who we truly are, like being spiritual beings having human experience? And it all starts with each and one of us. It all starts within me, it all starts within you, it all starts with the breath, it all starts with emotions, not being in motion. So it sounds so simple, but it's not always easy, because that is also what we are holding on to. And the enlightened one, the Buddha, he said that what is causing the suffering for us humans are the cravings, right? I crave for bigger breasts. I crave for more money. I crave for a new kitchen. I crave for a new car, etc. You fill in the blanks. So I'm always like running around in the hamster wheel, craving for something else, right? So that's one aspect of what is causing suffering to humankind. And the other aspect is also that we are in avoidance. We are fleeing and escaping from hard emotions, from, from we want to stay put in our comfort zone, but we all know there's no growth in the comfort zone, right? So cravings and aversions to becoming older, aversions to becoming fat, aversions to high taxes, aversions to all these frozen emotions. I can name 100, and you just fill in the blanks what it is for you. So cravings and aversions are causing the human suffering. And instead, we are looking in the wrong places for the wrong things. We need to turn the focus inwards. And it starts where I can give the love and compassion for myself and to free these frozen emotions. So everything can be just in a flow, and I can be more aligned with my soul and who I am and soul's origin. And I'm just going to also show and talk about my latest book is called The Sacred Soul, A Divine Evolution Through Time and Space. And this is also how we are lost in the source, lost in the space, and, searching for more money or more of everything. And what we need to do is just raise our vibration. And we don't raise our vibration by just working on the ascending flow that we want to be enlightened, or we want to climb the ladder of the career, or we want to have a higher education. That is not the way to enlighten. To become enlightened and to become balanced with the yin and yang, the feminine and the masculine, that we all possess, regardless if you are in a male or in a female body. You also need to work with a descending flow, the feminine flow, and they connect in the heart. So if we are able to live more from the heart, that we are more heart-centered, filled more with empathy and compassion, and it starts again with myself, that I have empathy and compassion and love for myself, and then I need to bring it out into the collective consciousness. But first, I have it's like, a garden full of weeds. So first you need to pull out the weeds with the roots. You need to transform the lower states of consciousness, the trauma, the darkness, the wounds, and to transform it into high states of consciousness, and to be realigned with who you are on the soul level. So in this book, I'm also describing how we have been programmed, for thousands of years. Like thousands of years ago, somebody said, hey, like, I'm your king. You need to pay taxes to me. Or like, God sent, so you need to pay taxes to me. And so we started to give our power away from us. And we started to believe, people outside of us, and turn to others for help. Like even the word government means control, right? And ment is mind. So government translates into mind control. So we have given our consent, and we have given our energy, our power away. And this means that we are giving away so much of our energy to outer realms, outer stuff, outer authorities. So we lose connection with source, with divine source that we all arise from. So this book is to remember who you are, that we are all divine and all equal from divine source. So all the books that I'm writing and all the line of work that I do, I also do like karma clearings, because we are the old energy. We come with a lot of karma. We come with a lot of shit, right? We all have been perpetrators in previous lifetimes. We are maybe perpetrators also in this lifetime, even if I'm the perpetrator in how I'm treating myself or Mother Earth, or how I was treating others during the pandemic, right? So we are all perpetrators, and we have that energy. and we are all victims, and we have that energy. But these are the times into, transformation into higher level of consciousness. So that was a long answer to your question.
Oh, don't worry, nothing wrong with long, and long is encouraged. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. That's right. It's like a whole little city full of wiener dogs. Ain't nothing wrong with long. So my goodness, so if your wonderful book, The Sacred Soul, if that were a food, what would it be and why?
If it was a food, ooh, it would be a divine dish. It would be a divine dish with the most splendid taste, exquisite taste, and in beautiful colors. And you would never ever have tasted something as divine as and godlike like that. That is the dish, and it's prepared with such love. It's prepared with love.
It's a heart-shaped chocolate. I got you. Oh, stop.
Yeah, chocolate is like the gift to mankind. So yeah, why not?
Ah, yes, it is. Yes, it is indeed. So, my goodness, coming down to the magical question that every guest gets to receive. And that is if you don't wake up tomorrow and you're 25 again, but you're still in the current year, what advice would you give to yourself?
I would give myself the same advice that I give to, the thousands of clients that come to me. Breathe. That's one way to start. That's the start. That's the beginning. When you are being born into this life, you start your life with a breath, right? Like indulging in life. And the time when it's time for you to die, you also leave with a breath. So just focus on your breathing and everything will be good. All is coming to you if you're breathing correctly, if you're breathing consciously and not these kind of limiting breaths that we are doing in the matrix. So yeah, keep on breathing. You got it. All is well.
Ah, that's right indeed. That's right, folks. Breathe. That's right indeed. Breathe deep. That's right indeed. Make sure it goes into the belly. That's right indeed.
To the belly and into the back, into the waist. So it's like an expansion on all levels. And the breath is the tool to combine the conscious with the unconscious, the feminine with the masculine, the inner and the outer realms, the ascending and the descending flow. So the breath is so central for personal growth and for connection and for healing.
Ah, that's what I'm talking about. Is that tool, baby? Indeed. That's right indeed. That's right. Ulrika got tools. That's right indeed. That's right. Who needs Bob the Builder? We got Ulrika in the building, baby.
But I'm just here, like I'm the guide to guide you back into yourself, because nobody can walk your path. Nobody can do it for you. We are many sort of energy workers, light workers, whatever, people want to call us. We can hold your hand, we can give you the tools, but at the end of the day, it takes a radical responsibility to walk your own path. And it also takes courage. And the word courage comes from the French word la coeur, which means the heart. So it takes a lot of courage to live a path led by the heart. And it takes a lot of courage to face all your fears and to transform your unconsciousness into more consciousness, your low states of consciousness into higher states of consciousness. So it takes a lot of courage. And a tool to find that courage is, again, the breath.
Ooh, that's right indeed. That courage indeed. That courage indeed. That's right. That's right indeed. I know folks need to probably increase the level of courage by following all of your fabulous work and keeping up with all that you're doing, especially when you release some more books and put some more fabulosity out into the freaking planet. So for those need to do just that, what's the best way for folks to do so?
You can connect with me with my website. It's not updated, but it's there. It's working. It's in English. It is www.ulrikakarlsson.com. And I'm going to spell it for you. It's ULLISKARLSSON. So ulliskarlsson.com. And also the karma clearings that I do I just want to say that they are life-changing, because you get to know from what planet you're from, like from what star system you're from. And also when I did my own, like the star system that I'm from, with certain traits and abilities and gifts, and we all have them. We all have different traits and gifts, right? And to come back to that magic and to know what your gifts and your magics are, and also your challenges, so you can navigate easily with a better breath, of course. And to sort of, we are moving in like spirals, but most of us are moving in downward spirals, working more, having more limiting beliefs, have to earn more money because our expensive lifestyles, etc. But to transform it into an upward going spiral that is from the heart, that is easy but not simple.
There you go. That's right, indeed. A lot of things like that. Definitely a lot of things like that. Indeed. It's like, oh yeah, it's simple, but it ain't easy.
Exactly. And we understand it like mentally and logically. Like we can understand it, but this is just like a mental spirituality. The spirituality needs to be embodied, because your soul, your spirit lives in the body, and everything is stored within the body, as I've been telling you about in these books. So everything is stored within the body, and that is why we have to use the body and again the breath as a tool to reclaim these frozen part of us. So we cannot be only, and I know so many people that are doing spiritual bypass by only being in the mental energy, the mental understanding, mental knowing. It needs to be an embodied wisdom, right? So it needs to be in the body, from the heart chakra, the central of the chakra system. And so it's so important to, again, descending in the energy from the mental realms and into the body, where you have all the divinity and all the answers to your own questions. You cannot find them. You cannot find a solution to the problem with the same mind that created the problem.
Yeah, that's right, indeed. It's where you need to be, y'all, where the divinity lies, indeed. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. Wake up one day, you got angels' wings, indeed. That's right, indeed. Heck, even wake up one day and be like, man, that happened in my head. There's extra light here. Like, oh man, I woke up bald. I have the enlightenments.
Yeah, it can take all sorts of shapes and forms. I actually have reclaimed many wings. I have big white, like angelic wings, and I also have dragon wings. So I'm also a tantrika, into tantra, Buddhistic tantra, and then tantra means literally path of expansion. So it has nothing to do with sex or fucking, as most people believe. Tantra is also about growth, spiritual growth, to connection to your true you, to your bits and pieces that are being scattered, being all over the place through this lifetime and also previous lifetimes. Because like also in a karma clearing, you get to know, like, okay, so 15 lifetimes ago, you made a negative choice that were not aligned with who you were at the soul level. And this negative choice that you did unconsciously, that you have forgotten about, 15 lifetimes ago, it is stored within the body, but you don't remember it. So the body represents the 95% of the unconsciousness, right? And we only have access to 5% of consciousness. So the 95% of the unconscious or subconscious programs that are stored within the body are made from negative choices from previous lifetime that still can affect you and the choices you make in this lifetime, regarding your health, regarding your life relationships, regarding your career, regarding your relation to money or anything. So you can have hardships in this lifetime, and you are working so hard, on yourself. You do a lot of courses, you read a lot of self-improvement books, you do a lot of stuff, inner work. But there might be programs deep within you, stored within your body, that you're not even conscious about, that happened X lifetimes ago. And so we can clear it out in this karma clearing. And then you're just, it's like a reset. Like you reset your computer, freeing all the virus programs that are on. So it's like a reset, a reboot for your soul. And it's like a game changer.
That's what I'm talking about. A game changer indeed, baby. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. So contact the mighty you, y'all. That's right indeed. The you will get you back into you.
Exactly. Exactly. So I'm not fixing anything. I'm not doing anything. I'm just guiding you, giving you the tools back into yourself, where you have all the questions and the divinity and everything that you need to know is in you.
Yeah. Well, there you have it, folks. We're going to put a link to all that wonderful stuff in the show notes so you can contact Ulrika as well. And be sure to snag some copies of her magical books, share them with some friends, share them with some family. That's right, indeed. Heck, maybe even dress up as a giant snowman when you hand them the book, maybe. That's right, just for extra posterity, for no reason. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. And then take selfies with the book as well. So, any parting words before we close up shop?
Yeah, to close the circle, this talk, I just want to say also, many years when I was depressed and suicidal, I listened to a talk with Oprah, and she had a guest. And I can't even remember what the guest was saying or who the guest was. But that day, something that the guest said resonated deep within me, and I did not commit suicide. And if there's something that I am saying here today for you who's listening, maybe if it's just one sentence or one word, then the circle is closed. Then I have paid back my karma, and to be here in service, for you, then I'm also healing myself. So thank you so much, Dom, for having me. And thank you so much, you, who are listening to this. Thank you.
Thanks a bunch for investing your time by listening to this wonderful podcast today. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you really did, do me a solid and leave a review or share this episode with at least 3 people that you think would get some value out of today's content. Advance others to advance yourself.